3 days before our $200,000 dream wedding, my fiancée texted, "I can't do this," then vanished with her ring. 3 days before the wedding, I thought I was juggling normal chaos. The florist's spreadsheet had the wrong shade of porcelain blush. My uncle wanted to bring a surprise saxophonist, and the venue's final invoice looked like a phone number. $200,000, neatly itemized into decisions that had felt like love when we made them. Extra string quartet, late-night espresso cart, the kind of calligraphy that made our names look too pretty to be real. Emma laughed at my lists, then started making her own. Tiny squares on a yellow pad where she wrote "breathe," like it belonged next to pack charger. She was all sharp eyeliner and soft shoulders, walking through the apartment barefoot, practicing vows under her breath with a paint-stained finger between the pages. I loved that detail. A streak of ultramarine beneath her wedding band finger, like she couldn't help but leave color on anything she touched. People told me weddings turned sane, people feral. I felt weirdly calm, the way I do when a project is finally close enough to touch. The numbers even made me sentimental. Deposits released, balances cleared. I kept a shared folder with PDFs, receipts, contracts. I set little automations to ping me if anything shifted. I thought that meant we were safe from surprises. At 9 p.m., we argued about napkins. Not napkins, obviously, but the way napkins become stand-ins for every sentence you swallow. She asked if we could skip the monogram. I said it was already printed. She said, "So are we then." We stared at each other, both knowing it wasn't about fabric. She tucked her hair behind her ear and said she was going for a walk. I watched her in the hall mirror, tying the laces on those white sneakers she gets paint on and pretends are new. "I'll grab ginger ale," she called, which was our code for truce. I said, "Text me?" She yanked the door open, then paused, turned back, kissed me once, quick and warm, like a comma. The door clicked. I set a timer for 20 minutes and opened the insurance email about the ring. Platinum oval. Micro pave band. Appraised $65,000. Serial number etched inside the shank. Photographs attached. I didn't buy it to feel rich. I bought it because she had pointed at it with such careful joy you'd think she was picking a star out of a catalog. She called it our small glacier. When I can't sleep, I look at the pictures and imagine the future under glass. By 10:15, the timer had long since gone dead. I texted a dumb joke. "No read," I called. Straight to voicemail. I told myself she was probably with Megan, decompressing. The group chat pinged with bridesmaid chaos. Tiny explosions of glitter and anxiety. I typed, "How's she doing?" and deleted it. I started tidying the apartment the way you do when your chest goes tight. Stacking boxes, smoothing bed sheets, rounding up stray ribbon like it mattered. At 11:41 p.m., the phone lit the room. A blue bubble popped and slid up so cleanly, I thought at first it was a calendar alert. "I can't do this. I'm sorry." For 5 seconds, the words didn't attach to meaning. Then my thumb already knew the pin to her building. Already knew the rhythm of our street at night. I was out the door with my jacket half on, keys biting my hand. The air smelled like hot concrete and someone's laundry detergent. The city makes you two promises at midnight. You will hear other people living, and none of them will help you. Her building's elevator was the slow kind that makes you think about stairs and dying. On the 5th floor, I could hear a TV behind one door and a cat behind another. Her key hid in the terracotta pot because we always forgot to move it. The apartment felt recently exhaled. Lights off, window open, the curtain dragging a shoulder along the sill like a dress. Her suitcase wasn't there. The garment bag with her dress still hung like a ghost, taped shut from alterations. On the coffee table sat the yellow pad with squares half-checked. The last line said, "Take ring, take passport, take courage." And she had crossed out courage, then rewritten it darker. The little velvet box wasn't on the dresser where she kept it. Not in the drawer where she pretended I could never find anything. Not in the ceramic bowl with her hair ties and a run of sea glass we collected last fall. I opened the bathroom cabinet and found a plastic bag of travel-size bottles and the small folding scissors she uses to clip stray threads. On the sink were 2 bobby pins and a smear of lipstick like a fingerprint. Under the mirror, she had taped a torn envelope with one word in her handwriting, "Breathe." But the tape had given up on one corner and the paper hung crooked, accusing. I checked the kitchen counter because sometimes she sets things down while pouring water and forgets them. It wasn't there. I opened the freezer, I don't know why. I had a sudden stupid thought that she was hiding inside the hallway closet, the way she used to do to scare me. Crouched between the coats, ready to say boo. I opened it, and only the coats looked back, smelling like rain. I called again and again. I texted, "Emma, please," and "Where are you?" and "Was it me?" And finally, "We can fix anything," because I believed it. I sat on the floor when standing felt performative. I watched my message status say, "Delivered," then "Not delivered." as if the network was grieving with me. Around 12:30, I called Megan. She didn't answer, then sent a voicemail transcription that began, "Hey, she just needs some time. Don't be mad, okay?" It felt rehearsed, as if she'd been waiting to send it. I texted, "Is she with you?" and got the gray dots, then nothing. I thought of Emma's brother Michael, his voice always half a joke, half a favor. He'd been calling this week more than usual, just checking in, but the way you check a couch cushion for coins. 2 weeks ago, Emma had asked me gently not to become her accountant. I said I wasn't. I was just making sure the deposits staggered correctly. She kissed my cheek and called me steady. Now the steadiness felt like a boat tied to a dock in a storm, rope sawing at wood. At 1:07 a.m., I remembered the tracker app we used for shared stuff, groceries, tasks, a dumb feature that also pings when a device changes location. Her phone had last been active at 11:42 near our place. Then nothing. I stared at the map until the blue ring meant nothing. I checked our shared drive. The wedding coordinator had emailed at 10:58 with the subject, "Confirmation of final details. Urgent." I typed a reply and deleted it 3 times. I found myself cataloging the apartment like evidence. The half-burned candle on the nightstand, the hoodie on the chair that wasn't the one she wore out, the mug in the sink with black tea ringed into a horizon line. This is how it happens on shows. Tiny missing things that add up to one giant absence. At 2:13, I drove to the venue. It felt like superstition. Like if I stood on the patio where we'd planned to say vows, she'd hear me. 2 security guards watched me through glass as I explained nothing. I walked the perimeter and stared at the ballroom's dark windows the way you watch a sleeping animal. The city hummed its late summer hum, and I practiced the speech I would give her. "I'm sorry about the napkins. I'm sorry for making money feel like a referee. I'm sorry I forgot you're a person, not a project." I thought about the ring, not as money, but as proof I'd listened to the way she wanted to be seen. I pictured her twisting it while she thinks, the click of metal against bone, the way she says my name when she's tired, falling from her mouth like a secret. By 3:30, the night had thinned into that fragile gray that makes everything look staged. I went home because there was nowhere else to go. I lay on the bed without taking off my shoes and stared at the ceiling until the room drifted. Sometime near dawn, I finally slept, the kind where your brain drags you through every hallway you just walked and shows you there's no one there. When my eyes snapped open, the light was real morning. My phone was a small burning planet on the nightstand. I had 5 missed calls from my mother, a text from the coordinator asking to finalize headcount by noon, and a string from unknown numbers that were probably relatives forgetting time zones. My thumb floated over Emma's thread like it might conjure a new message if I hovered just right. Instead, a banking notification slid down the screen, all calm fonts and rounded corners. "Heads up, unusual activity on your shared account." I don't remember opting into the chipper tone. I opened the app and it asked for Face ID with bureaucratic cheer. The numbers blinked into being, and there it was in blue and black. 3 transfers between 2:12 and 3:01 a.m. Amounts neat enough to look hygienic. Recipients masked with asterisks and letters like they were winking at me. The total read $27,800. And the little green check marks next to each line looked like jokes I didn't understand. I stared at the transaction history like it might rewrite itself if I blinked enough. 3 separate transfers in the dead of night, neat round numbers. $9,200, $8,600, $10,000. Recipients masked with J and M, the kind of anonymized strings that scream banking privacy and, in my chest, alarm. My pulse was already hammering when I opened the email from Carter, our wedding coordinator. The subject line was brutal in its cheer. "Just checking, received cancellation request." The body read, "Hi, I got a call from someone on your team early this morning asking to cancel all bookings. They said it was urgent and they were authorized to make the decision. Please confirm so I know whether to release your date to our waitlist. We'll need to talk about the cancellation fees." I read it twice before my brain accepted the timestamp. 5:12 a.m. 3 hours after those transfers. I called Carter immediately. He picked up on the first ring, his voice tight, like he'd been waiting for me. I didn't want to assume anything was wrong, but "Who's Megan?" "She said she was your fiancé's maid of honor." She sounded certain. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, pulling up the contract in one tab, our shared account in another. Cancellation within 72 hours meant forfeiting 70% of the total cost. That was $140,000 gone before I even got an explanation. I told Carter not to cancel, to freeze everything until I confirmed in writing. He hesitated, probably imagining the nightmare of vendors calling him, but agreed. I called Megan next, straight to voicemail. I left a message I barely remember, my voice too calm, like I was reading from a script. Minutes later, a text arrived from her. "She's not ready. Please give her space. This isn't about the money." I fired back. Where is she? No reply. My mother rang again. She didn't bother with pleasantries. You need to cancel now before they drain every last cent. I told you this wedding was over the top. You didn't listen. Her voice had that iron edge she uses in board meetings. The kind that makes people fold. I told her I wasn't canceling until I knew the truth. She sighed like I'd chosen the wrong side in a war. By mid-morning, I'd filed a missing person report. Not that the detective on the phone thought it would stick. She's an adult. She sent you a message. It's not a crime to change your mind, he said. But when I mentioned the ring and its value, he perked up. If it's insured, your provider will want documentation. And if she sells it, a reputable jeweler or pawn will log the serial number. We'll flag it. I called James, the jeweler who'd sold it to me. His voice softened when I explained, if it crosses my desk or any of my colleagues' desks, you'll know. But listen, people who want to disappear with something like that usually move fast. By noon, I had a message from the insurance company. We've activated monitoring for item PLO-8817. If any registered reseller submits a request to authenticate, we'll alert you and law enforcement. It felt both reassuring and surreal, like setting up a security camera for a storm you can't stop. Then, at 12:47 p.m., Carter emailed again. Not sure if this is connected, but one of the catering vendors got a request for a full refund this morning. Same caller, Megan. She said the bride and groom decided to go in a different direction. Everywhere I looked, pieces of our wedding were being dismantled by someone I thought was on our side. The bank, the vendors, the police, the insurance company, they were all starting files with my name on them, and Emma was still just a string of blue words on my phone. I can't do this. I'm sorry. That night, while I was cross-referencing every outgoing payment from the last month, I found it. One of the 3 midnight transfers had gone to an account with the name partially visible in the statement. M's Carlo. Michael, her brother, the same one who'd been calling her all week. My stomach dropped like I'd stepped off a curb I didn't see. I grabbed my keys. If Michael knew where she was, he was going to tell me, or I was going to find out another way. Michael didn't answer my first call, or the second. On the third, it rang until voicemail picked up and his voice, easy, drawling, told me to leave a message. If it's worth my time, I hung up. His social media was public enough to give me a breadcrumb, a tagged photo from an hour earlier. Him leaning against the hood of a beat-up sedan in a strip mall parking lot. The geotag put him 10 miles away, in a neighborhood where pawn shops outnumbered coffee shops. I drove over, rehearsing lines that veered between civil and violent. The strip mall was the kind with faded awnings and neon signs that didn't match the business names anymore. I spotted the car, same dent on the fender, but no Michael. The pawn shop 2 doors down had its blinds half drawn, and the kind of glass that made you aware of your own reflection. Inside, the air was metallic and stale. Looking for a platinum oval engagement ring, I said to the guy behind the counter. His eyes flicked to the security camera and back to me. We don't give out customer info, he said. I leaned on the glass. It's stolen. Serial numbers flagged with insurance and police. I can make this really easy or really hard. He stared a beat longer, then jerked his chin toward the security monitor in the corner. Grainy black and white footage showed a woman in an oversized hoodie and baseball cap at the counter. The hood was up and she wore a mask, but the way she shifted her weight, left hip, then right, twisted something in my chest. It looked like Emma. She slid a small box across the counter. The clerk on the video opened it, glanced inside, then shook his head. She took it back, turned, and was gone. When? I asked. He checked a clipboard. Yesterday, late afternoon. My throat went dry. She'd been here before she vanished. Back in my car, I texted Megan. Did you help her pawn the ring? The reply came fast. She didn't pawn it. She wouldn't. Stop making her out to be a thief. I almost threw my phone. By the time I got home, I had an email from James, the jeweler. Got an inquiry today from a shop 2 towns over, asking for a quote to resize a platinum oval. The specs match your fiancé's ring exactly. The request came with a photo and a name, Meg A. I sat there staring at it. Meg A. Megan Anderson. I thought about her voice in that voicemail, soft and practiced. About her inserting herself into vendor calls. About Carter saying she'd tried to cancel the venue. I pulled up the photo James had forwarded. It was a close-up. Just the ring balanced on a jeweler's mandrel, a ruler in the frame for scale. But in the reflection on the band, distorted and tiny, there was the faint outline of someone holding a phone. The hair was pulled back, the sleeve dark. It wasn't definitive, but it made my skin crawl. I called Megan. This time she answered, voice bright. I was just about to call you, she said, as if we were planning brunch. Where is she? I demanded. You're going to tell me right now, she sighed. She's safe. She just needs... I know about the transfers, I cut in. I know about Michael. I know about the ring resizing request. Silence. Then, You don't understand what's going on. Then explain it, I said, but she hung up. 5 minutes later, a new text from an unknown number lit my screen. Stop digging. She owes money. We're making sure it's paid. Walk away or you'll lose more than a wedding. I didn't recognize the number. When I called it back, it went straight to a deadline. I sat in my car for a long time, the unknown number still glowing on my screen. My thumb hovering over it like pressing call again might change the outcome. My apartment felt smaller when I got back, every corner holding a shadow of her. Her mug still on the counter, the yellow pad on the coffee table with that black square where courage had been written and rewritten. I opened the banking app again, scrolled through the transfers, tracing the dates and amounts like they might reveal a code. The one to Michael was bad enough, but the other two were stranger. One to a company name I didn't recognize, another to an account listed only as R. I dug through my email, searching the company's name. The only hit was a 2-month-old confirmation for financial restructuring consultation sent to Emma's personal address. The subject line read, "Thank you for choosing ClearPoint Credit Solutions." The idea of her sitting in some beige office, talking about debt with a stranger, made my stomach knot. By 6 p.m., I couldn't stand still. I drove to Megan's place, a loft she rented above a gallery. Her car was in the garage. I knocked until my hand hurt. She finally opened the door, hair wet, eyes cool. "You need to leave," she said before I could speak. "Where is she?" I demanded. "If she's in trouble, I can help." Her laugh was short, bitter. "Help? You've been controlling every dollar and every detail like she's a project. She was drowning. You don't get to twist this," I snapped. "Vendors are getting calls to cancel. Money's gone." "The ring. She sold the ring because she didn't see another way," Megan cut in. "Michael's in deeper than you know. People were calling her, showing up. You think she could tell you without you trying to fix it with a spreadsheet?" Her eyes flicked to the phone in her hand when it buzzed. She stepped back like she was done talking. I caught the door before it shut. "If you care about her at all, tell me she's safe." "She's safe," Megan said, but her voice faltered just enough to make me doubt it. Then she shut the door. That night, my phone lit up at 1:14 a.m. An unknown number again. I answered before it could go to voicemail. A man's voice, low and steady. "Stop asking questions. She's covering a debt. If you back off now, you'll lose less. Push." And we start looking at who else can pay. The line went dead before I could speak. I sat there with the phone to my ear, the dial tone a flat, endless note. The next morning, I got a ping from the insurance company. Possible match for item PLO-8817 at licensed reseller. Hold initiated. My heart thudded. The reseller was in a neighboring city, and the request had been filed under the name J. Carter. For a split second, I thought of our coordinator, but the address on the request didn't match him. Whoever it was had the ring in their possession, and they'd tried to move it fast. It was the first solid lead I'd had since she vanished, and I wasn't about to let it go. I drove to the address from the insurance alert like I was afraid the trail might evaporate if I stopped for a red light. It was a nondescript storefront with tinted windows, the kind of reseller that dealt in high-end jewelry, watches, and whatever else the right kind of desperate brought through the door. Inside, the air was cold, heavy with the smell of metal polish. A man in a dark vest glanced up from behind a glass case. I gave him the serial number. He didn't flinch. "Yeah," he said slowly. "We logged that in yesterday, but it's on hold now." Insurance flagged it. "Who brought it in?" "Guy, mid-30s, beard, said his name was Carter, had ID." He tapped his keyboard. "James Carter, not our wedding coordinator." The name meant nothing to me, until I noticed a printed intake form half visible on the counter. Under contact, in neat block letters, was an alternate number. I memorized it before he could turn the paper over. In my car, I plugged the number into a reverse search. It came back tied to a used car lot 3 towns over, and to Michael Carlo. My pulse jumped. Michael must have passed the ring to someone else, maybe this Carter, to launder it through a reseller. I called the detective on my case, rattled off everything. He sounded more interested now, said they could set up a controlled buy to catch whoever came to reclaim it when the hold was lifted. While they prepped that, I started combing through my shared drive, hunting for any sign Emma had been part of this. In the vendor email threads, I found something, a cancellation request sent to the venue hours before Carter's message to me. The metadata showed it came from Megan's IP address. I called her. "Why are you canceling our wedding behind my back?" "I told you, she's not ready." "You're lying," I snapped. "Michael's moving the ring through a reseller under a fake name. You're the one calling vendors. Are you both in on this?" Silence then. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." "She was trying to help him," Megan said, her voice shaking now. "He's in deep with people who don't go to court. The ring, the money, it was the fastest way to buy time. I handled the cancellation so you wouldn't get bled dry by penalties when she didn't show. You handled it by stealing from me," I said. "She didn't want you in danger. She thought you'd fight it and get hurt." The next morning, the detective called. "We've got a bite. Our guy's coming in to finish the sale. If you want to see this through, be ready to ID the property. An hour later, I was in the back of an unmarked car across from the reseller. A man walked in carrying the small black box I knew too well. They let him set it on the counter before stepping in. The moment the lid opened and the platinum caught the light, something inside me twisted. Anger, grief, and a thin thread of relief. They cuffed him on the spot. He wasn't Carter or Michael. He was a middleman, hired to make the sale. Under questioning, he gave them both names. By evening, Michael was in custody. Megan, too. And Emma. She was on a bus out of state. Ticket bought in cash. They found her 2 days later, sitting in a motel lobby with a half-empty coffee, looking like she hadn't slept in weeks. When she saw me, she didn't smile. I didn't know how else to fix it, she said. I thought if I took it all on me, you'd be safe. I believed her. And I also knew nothing between us could be the same again. Emma gave her statement in a small interview room, the kind with humming fluorescent lights and walls painted a color no one could name. She didn't deny taking the ring or transferring the money. She admitted Michael had shown up at her place a week earlier, panicked, saying he owed people who wouldn't wait. He'd begged her to help, promised it was temporary. She'd tried to stall, but the calls got darker. Names of family members, details they shouldn't know. When she asked Megan for advice, Megan had told her to get out before I got pulled in. You were already paying for everything, Emma said, voice cracking. I couldn't let you cover his debt too. She told me she'd staged the disappearance to make me angry enough to let her go. Selling the ring, moving the money, it was all to get Michael breathing room. But Michael hadn't used the breathing room to fix anything. He just tried to move the ring fast for cash. The DA's office made her an offer, testify against Michael and Megan, and they'd drop the theft charges. She took it. The two of them faced a string of counts. Fraud, attempted grand larceny, conspiracy. I didn't watch the arraignment, but the detective called afterward to say the judge had denied bail. The ring was returned to me in a clear evidence bag, tagged and dated. I left it on my kitchen counter for 2 days unopened. When I finally slid the bag open, the platinum felt colder than I remembered. I turned it over in my palm, saw the tiny serial number, the proof that it was mine, again, and all I could think about was how easily it had left. Emma didn't ask for it back. She didn't ask for anything. She stayed in town just long enough to see the plea deal through, then left quietly, no forwarding address. Canceling the wedding was brutal. We lost deposits, even with the insurance payout. Carter, the coordinator, was gracious about it, said he'd never seen a wedding fall apart so fast and so completely. My mother didn't say, "I told you so," but she didn't need to. On the day we were supposed to get married, I drove past the venue. The parking lot was full. Another couple was on the patio, laughing while a photographer circled them. The bride's dress caught the sun just right, and for a second, it hurt so sharply I had to pull over. I didn't go inside. I just sat in the car, watching strangers take the spot we'd fought so hard to claim. I thought about the napkin argument, the yellow pad, the way Emma's sneakers squeaked on our hallway floor. The ring went into a safe deposit box the next day. Not because I wanted to keep it, because I didn't want to see it again. People talk about closure like it's a door you can shut, but some things don't close. They just become quieter over time until you can almost forget the sound of them breaking.